Hey, on today's episode of the Utah High School Hoops podcast, I am joined by Grinnell College coach DJ Damazo, all the way from Iowa. And you might be wondering, why do we have a coach from a Division III school in Iowa coming on? And I am so excited for you to find out why, because Grinnell College, if you haven't followed them, is an incredible university with an incredible basketball program. And I'm stoked that he's joining us and that you get to listen to it and we get to dig in. This is the Utah High School Hoops podcast, your source for sometimes informative, but always entertaining coverage of the Utah High School hoops scene. With your host, Adam Meek. What's up, Coach?
Adam, it's great to see you virtually. It's great to.
I know, man. You know what's funny? As I was listening to the intro play, I realized I've never really said this, but my son actually made that beat. My 16-year-old makes like beats and makes his own music, and I was like, I've never really given AJ a shout out for the podcast beat.
Definitely give him a shout out. I was bobbing my head a little bit. I really liked it.
Yeah. He likes to get on what is it, Pro Tools or something like that. I don't know what he does, but I tell him, hey, being creative is the most divine thing about humanity. So as long as you're creating, like I'm good with it. Just don't consume all the time. So I really try to encourage it. Anyway, enough about AJ. Let's pivot to DJ. So Coach, you're joining me from Grinnell, Iowa, which I believe I've driven through there. It's kind of right in the middle of Iowa. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, right smack dab in the middle of Iowa. Yep.
So we're going to get into all sorts of stuff about, what makes D3 special and the Grinnell system. But I want to start with you and just a little bit about your story. So walk me through how did you get involved in coaching and how did you get to this point in your career so far?
Yeah, well, Adam, thanks again for having me. My journey, I grew up in Western Pennsylvania in a small town called Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. If you're familiar with Western Pennsylvania in the sports scene, like it's football, and football kind of runs the show over there. But I was very fortunate to grow up in a school district that was a football powerhouse, but was also a basketball powerhouse. The high school coach in the district that I grew up in was John Miller. And his two sons are Division I coaches. Sean Miller is at Xavier. Archie Miller is at Rhode Island now. And there have been a number of great players, a number of great coaches that have come from Blackhawk. And I was very fortunate to grow up, for Coach Miller's camps and just being around high-level basketball. And, I played all 4 years at Blackhawk. We had some great success on the court. And as I was looking for schools, it was pretty easy for me. My dad worked at Geneva College, which is where I attended, so I got free tuition there, which was wonderful. And
where's Geneva College for those of us?
Yeah, Geneva is actually right in Beaver Falls. So Geneva was actually closer. So my college was actually closer than my high school, which is kind of funny to think about. But yeah, it was close to home. It was free, and it was a Christian college, which checked three huge boxes for me. So got to Geneva, played all 4 years. My career was, it was tough in many ways, but also a blessing in many ways. So we had a really good team my freshman year. We didn't play a ton my freshman year, and we returned a good bit my sophomore year. And I was starting, getting lots of minutes, and about halfway through the season, I got 2 concussions in 3 days. It was mostly my own fault. I didn't tell the whole truth of the extent of my injury of the first concussion, because we were playing really well, like trying to get the top seed in the conference, and really wanted to play the next game. And unfortunately, I got a second concussion in 3 days. And, I thought I was going to be out a week or two. And then sure enough, I was actually out the rest of my sophomore year and then my entire junior year. So,
oh, wow.
Lots of soul searching, lots of frustration, and
from the concussions, or
the concussions? Yeah, from the concussions. Jeez. So yeah, it was very, very difficult time, and that's probably a story for another day. But I would say, as it relates to this, I think during that time, I realized that I wanted to be a coach. I was in the coach's office, learning the behind the scenes things. My college coach, Coach Sanacero, a great friend and mentor. Like we talked a lot about different things, team dynamics, and I'm like, maybe I should try coaching one day. So I did end up playing my senior year. It was not to the level of my expectations, just sitting out for a year and a half. But
Right.
I knew during that time, like I absolutely want to get into college coaching. And as crazy as it might sound, it was an absolute blessing in disguise for me to have those injuries, because I wouldn't be where I am right now without that. I truly believe that.
And Geneva is what's the designation, I guess, for, because I know there's people don't know there's obviously NCAA, but as I was telling you, I had gone out to Dubuque, Iowa, to potentially go play at Emmaus Bible College, which is NCCAA
Right.
Division 2. So curious, what's Geneva?
So Geneva's NCAA Division III, but they actually also have an affiliation with the NCCAA.
Got it.
So they have a dual affiliation, but their primary affiliation is NCAA Division III.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And so, what was did you go from Geneva then to Grinnell, or how did you get connected up with Grinnell College?
Yeah. So there's after graduating, I went to Eastern University, which is in Eastern Pennsylvania, another Christian college. I was a graduate assistant there. I worked for two great bosses, Nate Stewart and Eric McNally. So it was pretty unique. I got to learn from two different head coaches, and I really enjoyed my time as a GA because, I really got to see a program from the ground up. So like, I was doing laundry, I was driving vans, I was doing every imaginable task, and I'm very grateful for that time in my career, because I feel like I have a full understanding of what it takes to run a program. And from there, so I sort of have a non-linear path. I should have started with that in my coaching career. So I graduated with my master's from Eastern, and it was like a December graduation, and I actually didn't have anything lined up after my time at Eastern. So I actually took sort of a gap year, just figuring out, do I want to go through this full throttle, and everything kept pulling me back, and like, yes, this is absolutely what I want to do. So took a year off, but believe it or not, in February there was a job opening for a school transitioning from the NCCAA to Division III. There's a coaching transition, and I applied for the job, and I actually got it, which was crazy. I was a 26-year-old head coach of a Division III school. I would guess I was probably the youngest coach in the country. And upon getting the job, the president and the AD in my interview were like, just so you know, this is career suicide for you. Like we're like, you have to completely change the culture of the program. I don't care about wins and losses. Like, we need to clean up the mess off the court.
Mm,
And I'm like, sign me up. So maybe naive, maybe whatever, but I gladly signed up. And it was an absolute process. Like my first year there, we went 3-19, I believe.
oof.
Second year we went 1-20, so it got even worse because we kind of cleaned house. But during that second year, when we went 1-20, we're bringing in really good pieces, and I just felt a shift off the court, and I'm like, year 3, I really believe we're going to make a pivot. And then sure enough, year 3 we went 12-10, so it was one of the biggest turnarounds in all of
Yeah,
Division
that's
II.
huge.
And interestingly enough, it kind of dovetails into the Grinnell piece, but my third year we played very, very up tempo. Like, we didn't do exactly what Grinnell did, but we played very up tempo, shot a lot of threes, pressed, and that led to a lot of the on-court success in year 3. But I did not know the Arsenal family. I didn't reach out to ask any questions. It's just sort of ironic the way it ended up. But so that was year 3. Year 4 was COVID, so we didn't play any games or anything like that. And at that point in my career, we sort of rebuilt the program. It was stable. It was in a good position. But I was working another job at the college full time. So, from 8 to 5, I was working in the provost's office and doing lots of things. And basketball was technically a part-time job. So it
Sure.
wasn't
It's just never
sustainable.
it's never a part-time job though, right? Like
Yeah, for high
I always
school college coaches, no, not
no,
part-time,
it's
no,
not. They get
no.
these tiny stipends in these schools, but it's like you got to work 40 hours, but
Correct.
we can't pay you to work 2 hours, so you got to get a job. That's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah,
Makes sense though.
yeah. So long story short, it was didn't feel like it was sustainable. I had 2 young kids at the time. My wife was pregnant with our third, and I was just looking around, and this does not happen in any job, but in particular, college athletics. I just blindly applied to the Grinnell assistant job and went through the process and ended up getting it. And couldn't be more fortunate. Like Coach Dave, obviously brilliant basketball mind, but he and his dad are just two of the greatest people you'll ever meet. They took me in like family,
Mhm.
and I've been so appreciative of my time here. And yeah, this is my third season now. First season we were 16-8. Then last season it was a rough one for multiple different reasons. But this year we're back on track. We're 15-4 at the moment. We're led by a 3-headed monster of freshman guys that are, scoring at a very high clip, including one guy that's leading the country in scoring. So we're very happy, and we're looking forward to the future.
I'm stoked to get into it here. This is Coach DJ Damazo from Grinnell. We're going to go to a quick break here, hear from our sponsor. When we come back, though, we're going to hear exactly what he means by the Grinnell system, and we want to hear more about the school, because the chances are you probably haven't heard of it if you're here in Utah, but you really need to, because it's pretty innovative, and I think it's important for us to open up our eyes to what's going on in the world of basketball, specifically in college basketball. So we'll be right back with Coach DJ.
How the heck are you supposed to eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day? And as a mom, I think I figured it out. Ruby. Ruby is the only way. Open, pour, shake, drink. My kids love Ruby because it tastes so good. And when in your life are you going to get this many fruits and vegetables in just one serving? Like I get to eat my McKee berries. Trust me on this one. Try it once and you will not regret it. Your kids won't even complain that they have to drink it. It's that good.
And you won't regret going to goruvi.com and using code Adam15 to get 15% off your purchase. That's goruvi, GORUVI.com, and use code Adam15 for 15% off your purchase. All right, we are back here with Coach DJ from Grinnell College. Just went through his history, his what'd you call it? The non-linear history of getting to Iowa. So you moved to Iowa. You, at this point, when you applied to Grinnell, were you familiar with kind of the Grinnell system, or was it still maybe like my knowledge might be, where you've read some articles and you've seen this, maybe you saw the Jack Taylor story with Kobe, like that obviously got a lot of headlines. Was that sort of your familiarity, or were you like, I did some research, I applied, I knew what I wanted to do, and my wife was like, we need to go to the middle of Iowa, hun. We need to move.
Yeah. So I would say pretty similar to your knowledge. Like, we during my third year at Valley Forge, we did watch a good bit of Grinnell film. So I think that also was a piece of it. And then just learning about Grinnell as a school, and I think it kind of ties into what you're getting at here. I didn't realize how great of a school Grinnell is. So we're currently number 10 or 11th ranked liberal arts college in the country. So you're basically getting an Ivy League education here at Grinnell. Like during regular decision, we have a 9% acceptance rate. So you're getting a very, very high level degree on top of a wonderful basketball experience.
And that plays into, I'm guessing, maybe even the genesis of Grinnell, or why you guys play. So, but you're wearing a shirt. If you're listening to this, you can't see. Coach is wearing a shirt that says 3 is greater than 2. And I think that's probably a mantra at Grinnell, right? So maybe kind of talk a little bit about the Grinnell system. I mean, you have a 9% acceptance rate for any student to get in there, which, and it's a Division III school, so you can't offer academic or athletic scholarships. So I'm sure there's a whole bunch of different roadblocks to get kids to come to Grinnell. But the system has to be one of those things that's super attractive. So along with the academics, obviously, and the Ivy League that you're talking about. So walk me through this system. Like give me the Grinnell system for dummies sort of overview
Yeah.
of what you guys do there.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is, if you can picture your team down, 11, 12 points with a minute to go, and you're on defense and you have to get the ball back. So you're obviously going to press. You're going to have maximal effort while you're pressing. If you don't get a steal, you're going to be super aggressive in the half court, double team the ball at all times. And when you do get the ball back, whether that's, by getting scored on or creating a turnover, you're racing the ball down and you're getting a high quality 3-point shot or layup at the rim uncontested as fast as you can, like ideally in 8 to 10 seconds. And but for us, like that's 2 possessions I just gave right there. For us, that's the entire game.
The entire game. Your hair's on fire the whole game.
Correct. So completely relentless the entire game. And we're able to do that because we do hockey subs, so 5 in, 5 out subs every roughly 45 seconds to a minute. So guys are able to be fresh and play at the level that we want them to play at every single possession.
Interesting. There's a school here in Utah, actually, Pleasant Grove High School, that I went and watched, and I was like, I think they didn't do the full Grinnell system, but there were definitely like long stretches of the game where they're doing hockey subs and they were pressing and they shot a lot of threes in that particular game. So, I'm guessing that there's been more and more people who have sort of picked up on aspects of it, but you're just like, it's literally called the Grinnell system. Like you are all in on this all game long. So it's 5. Do you play a rotation of 10 or does the rotation go out to, 15, or how does that work?
Yeah. So to start the game, we have 20 guys that dress for us. And this year, actually, it's pretty unique. Like all 20 of the guys are actually playing in every single game. And it gets a little complicated, but to simplify it, I would say like we have 3 groups of 5 to start. So 3 groups of 5, and within that 15 number, like some guys play less with the other 5 that aren't in the 15, if that makes sense. So,
okay.
So we have 3 groups of 5 to start, and then generally with 8 to 10 minutes in the first half, we'll go down to A-B, and which means that's kind of our top 10 players, and we'll still do the hockey subs, but instead of with 3 groups, it'll be 2 groups.
Okay.
And then we'll do the same thing in the second half, and yeah.
So there's groups that will play more minutes. Like there's individual players who, at the end of the day, if you look at the box score, will have played more minutes than other players.
Okay. Exactly. Yep. Got
it. That makes sense. So it's and you all score. You mentioned that you have a player who's leading the country in scoring.
Yeah, Kai Tahuki is his name. He's from New Zealand, actually. So he's a freshman from New Zealand. I think he's up to 28 points a game. Just a world-class shooter. And yeah, he's playing very well for us.
Does it help that the kids, when they're in the game, they're in for, like you said, 45 seconds, a minute, whatever it is. I've heard people say, like, I just don't know how it could get into a rhythm. I'm sure there's I know there's all sorts of critics of Grinnell, right? Like, I don't need to go into it, but as a player, I would imagine maybe there can be a bit of concern, like, I just felt like I just got in and I just got going. Does that concern go away because of the frequency of the substituting, where it's like you're just really out for a water break and then you're going to be right back in?
Yeah, Adam, you hit the nail right on the head. So it's funny, like two of our other freshman guards who are second and third on our team in scoring, like a big concern of theirs during the recruiting process was like, I don't know if I can do the hockey subs. Like, I just don't know about it. I'm like, I hear you, but like, just trust me. Like, once you get here, you're going to understand the rationale. And I'll never forget, this year we were doing like an inter-squad scrimmage type deal. And after one shift, so, it was about 55 seconds, both of the freshman guards they came out and they were both on the ground, like lying on the ground, just couldn't move and like with their water. I'm like, still want to play 2 or 3 minutes at a time. They're like, coach, you're exactly right. And I'm like, yes, thank you. But yeah, I think like, through the recruiting process, it can be a concern. But once you actually do it, like guys completely understand and are bought in, and they want to play that amount of time.
And you all had a game, I think it was last year, that was against Emmaus Bible College. That's why I think I had mentioned it when we were talking beforehand, where you ended up the game. Did you not attempt a 2? Is that what it was? It was.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So we shot all threes. I think it was 111 threes, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's more than I've seen a team shoot in one game live. I can guarantee you that much.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was actually talking with another dad here. We were watching the Pleasant Grove team play, and they weren't doing the full Grinnell system, like I said, but it was a lot of it. And there was like, I just don't know if my son would really like that. I'm like, yeah, but can you imagine if you knew that you had a green light when you're in the game? Like everybody has a green light when you're. I'm guessing, right? Like, is all 5 players are on the court and
essentially, yeah, more or less, for sure.
More or less. Okay, I don't know. You've got one player who's like, coach has never told me I had a green light. And you're like, calm down, Jimmy. There's a reason. You got to set some screens, buddy. But I mean, just having that confidence and knowing like I'm not coming out because I'm making a mistake. I'm coming out because I'm exhausted and I need to come out, but I'm going to go back in. I just think that there's a whole mental shift that has to happen that you probably see unlocked in kids when they're playing in the system, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's just we play fearless, and it's different than everyone else in the country. Like Coach Dave actually used this example today to Kai Tukey, our freshman guy that's leading the country in scoring. He kind of said like there's nowhere else in the country where if he would miss 15 shots in a row, 15 threes in a row, and got the ball for an open 3 on the 16th one, and if he didn't shoot it, like that's when he would actually probably get in trouble. So it's just, but I think you're exactly right. Like there's this confidence of knowing like if you put in the work and if you're getting the high quality shots that we're going to get, we have full confidence that you're going to make them. And I think that's very freeing as a player. No
doubt. So Todd, you mentioned recruiting. So I've got kind of 2 ends to this recruiting question. So, like I mentioned, D3, you're not able to offer athletic financial scholarships, right? And Grinnell, I'm guessing with the Thai academics and its low acceptance rate, is probably not the most inexpensive university to attend, right? So when you're out recruiting, how does that initial conversation go? Do you find that kids know who you are? I mean, you just said you're leading scorers from New Zealand, so somehow you got a hold of a kid in New Zealand to come there. What is the recruiting process like with such a unique system, within the D3 parameters, and then also within the parameters of this high academic institution?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think our high academic standards are both a blessing and a curse. Meaning like we can't go out and watch an AAU tournament where there's 200 teams and just find the best players that would be great D3 players, because probably 80 to 90% of them wouldn't be admissible to Grinnell. So we have to do our homework and know exactly who we're going after ahead of time, and based off grades, everything like that. Fortunately, there's a number of high academic basketball camps throughout the country, like in Boston, Los Angeles, Texas, that we hit pretty hard. And it's guys attending those camps that they want to go to a school like Grinnell. So that's been very helpful for us. And then the other piece is just being in it for like 10 years now. I feel like I'm pretty connected throughout the country, and I have guys calling pretty often, just sharing guys that would fit in the Grinnell system and also fit academically. But yeah, the beauty of it is, almost every airport that I've been in, if I'm wearing the 3 is greater than 2 shirt or Grinnell basketball shirt, I get stopped because people are just so curious about Grinnell basketball. And it's great marketing, just being able to share our program, sharing what we're about, sharing our university as a whole. And I think we can get in the door with basically every high academic D3 kid because of our style, because it's so intriguing, and there's an opportunity to put up big numbers, and guys are intrigued by that.
Yeah, and for most kids, I'm thinking about who are going to go there. They're not, they're not like they're not on the rivals, 3 and 4 and 5-star lists as players, right? And so this is likely, and this is kind of going to lead me to my next question. This is likely the last place where they will play for a team, for a school in a competitive environment, right? And so why not go there and score 25 points a game? And then, when you're a dad and you show your kids like, no, this is what dad did in college. I mean, there's something really cool and special about that I think kids today probably miss a little bit. And now that I'm more advanced, I mean, I'm in my 40s now. So, I look back and it's like, gosh, that's pretty awesome what some of these kids are going to be able to say to their kids, right? When they eventually get done with school, they get a great degree. I guess my question is, the college recruiting landscape, meaning inter-college recruiting, has shifted obviously wildly since the transfer portal and this NIL stuff. Do you find that you have a hard time retaining student athletes at Grinnell, or because of the way you play, do coaches just kind of go like, I don't know, we're not going to recruit, to the D3 level? Like, how does that whole dynamic work now that colleges, NAIA, D2, D1, even other D3 schools are constantly recruiting kids who are already playing college basketball?
Right. Fortunately, again, just being at like such a high academic great school, like, once you get into a place like Grinnell, like you really almost can't leave because it's such a good school. So fortunately, we haven't been hit with like transfer portal or anything like that. And our style of play, I don't even think I've mentioned this, but like, it's also just fun. Like, it's just a fun way to play basketball. Like I said, like all 20 guys on the roster are playing. Our practices are up tempo, and it's just a fun environment to be in. And like, guys just don't want to leave that. Like, once you get here, it's just great. And we have, obviously, I said 20 guys on our roster. 19 of them are not from Iowa. Like, we have guys from all over the country and world. So it's just funny, like, just to think about they're going to school in the middle of Iowa. And
right.
But once you come here, it's a special place and with a great community. And I think all those things combined, you just don't really want to leave.
I got to get out to a game. I mean, are the home games pretty well attended from the community as well? Do they show up and support?
Yeah, very well attended. Like, there's a number of people that will be there, like some elderly people that will be there an hour before the game, ready to go. And Grinnell's a town of 9,000 people, and whenever we're out in the bakery, people will come up and talk about Grinnell basketball. And I can't watch any other style of basketball. It's just ingrained in the fabric of the college and of the town, which is very cool.
Man, I love that. I love that so much. Well, Coach, we're coming up here on our time. You mentioned you've got kids who come from all over the U.S. So what's the best way, if there's a parent or a player out here in Utah who, they go do the research, they check it out, they're, a high academic kid, and they're like, man, this looks like a perfect, I would love to go to a school like this. Do y'all have like a recruiting questionnaire, or how do players or coaches or even, parents, how do they reach out to you to start that process?
Yeah, my email is on our website. I'm try to get back to almost every email that I get. So that would be a great way. Just, connecting with me on there. Or actually, it's crazy that we've gotten to this point, I think, in many ways, but like Twitter DMs as well. Like, I mean, that's how we connect.
That's how we connected up. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm honestly more likely to respond to one of those maybe than even an email. But yeah, one of those two places, like reaching out, like talking about why you might be interested in Grinnell, and those are all helpful things. And honestly, for any listener that might be listening to this, I'm very passionate about Division III basketball and the recruiting landscape, and I just love everything about it. So if there's any questions about just Division III recruiting in general, I would be happy to talk to anyone about those things, because as you said, there's just not Division III schools, near Utah. And so I would be happy to talk about the process.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been lucky enough to, I mean, I grew up right next to Colorado College. And so I've seen some Colorado College games. That's the closest D3 school to here. I do a lot of work, oddly enough. I think I told you, at University of Wisconsin Stout. And
Right.
so I've been out to a couple of games there. And that league in Wisconsin is top notch.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a player, or even if you're a parent, and you ought to just watch, or even go watch a game live, and you'll realize, like, Division III basketball is not some sort of, it's not like just barely above your varsity. These are grown men,
Yes.
strong,
Yeah.
athletic, who can shoot it. And for a lot of them, it was, this is the best school I could go to academically, because there's a lot of really high academic D3 schools out there, like Grinnell. But they're incredible basketball players. So don't overlook D3. That would be my statement.
Yeah, just real quick, there's a guy, Bob Quillman. He's kind of like the national media for Division III, and he does he talks a lot about Division III basketball. One of my favorite things he does is he'll post a very, very high level Division III player, and he'll kind of say, like, there's high school kids out there that think they're too good for Division III, but they're nowhere near this player, and I encourage you to watch it. And I think that's very true.
Yeah, who was it a D3 player that, I'm trying to remember, who was the kid in Minnesota that,
Yeah,
was that a D3 player? Went off
from McAllister. Yeah, he scored.
Yeah.
I think it was in the 40s or 50s, maybe, against Minnesota.
Against the Golden Gophers.
Yeah.
He just went off, and it's like, that kid's playing Division III basketball.
Right.
And didn't, correct me if I'm wrong, was Duncan Robinson, he started off at D3 as well, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he was at Williams in Massachusetts, and then transferred to Michigan. So,
yeah, turns out, don't overlook D3, everybody. That goes for the players, that goes for the parents, and not just because you can become Duncan Robinson, because, like you said, you can get a great education, you can still play ball, and there's a ton of opportunities. So, Coach, I really appreciate it. I hope some folks here in Utah will tune in and try to watch some Grinnell. Do you guys live stream your games? I'm guessing. How can people watch?
We live stream all our games. I would really encourage you to tune in, watch. Adam, I'll get you a 3 is greater than 2 shirt. I'll send one over to you.
Let's go. I love it. Well, Coach, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I need to get out there and check out a game. Like I said, I drove right on, is it I-80 that goes through?
Exactly.
I was on I-80, and I was like, Grinnell, wait. I was with my wife and kids. But, by the way, if you haven't, and I know that this is probably like the most cliche thing, but go and Google the Jack. What do you have? 138 points.
138 points. Yep, exactly.
138 points from Jack Taylor, Grinnell College, and it was a remarkable feat. I think he shot, is it 76 threes or something like that in the game?
I think that's right. Yep.
He got up shots. All you players are like, I'm going to go to the gym, get up shots. Well, he did it in a game with refs and defense.
Exactly.
So, Coach, appreciate you. Thanks so much for coming on. Maybe we can do it again. This has been fun. Hopefully some people reach out. I'll make sure that your Twitter link, or X, or whatever we're calling it these days, is down in the show notes, along with a link to Grinnell. And what else did we have? Oh, your email. I'll have that page on there as well. I won't publish your email because they like scroll these things, and then you get a whole bunch of crap. So but I'll let everyone make sure they can just click something and reach out to you. Coach DJ, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
All right, God bless.